All right, y'all. So Oscar De La Hoya brought up a good point. He mentioned that when he was 23 years old, he fought and beat Julio Chavez Sr., who had way more experience than he had arguably had been a champion longer than Oscar had been boxing as a professional. All right, but Oscar was 23 years old, Chavez was 33, and Oscar got the job done and got the win. Much like the situation I brought up in one of my videos, where I mentioned the Pernell Whitaker fight, where Oscar was, he was young. I think Oscar was like 21 at the time. Pernell Whitaker was Pernell Whitaker, and Oscar, to me, I felt like Oscar lost the fight, but Oscar made the fight close enough to win the fight on the cards. And that is what Canelo could not do against Floyd Mayweather. Canelo couldn't make the Floyd Mayweather fight competitive enough to even be in the fight. And that's the difference between the two guys. So when I talk about Canelo versus Floyd, and I'm only mentioning this because, of course, this come back up because Floyd had his little exhibition bout. So now people are back on that. Canelo was too young. He would have beat Floyd in his prime, all that nonsense. He was in his prime, etc. But, and when you look at the situation, and you look at what other people have done in the past, and I made a video about this, and I mentioned a bunch of fighters who were young, who went and beat experienced champions to win titles, even Muhammad Ali. And I talked about all of these people in that video. And the one thing that I said, those guys were great enough to win those fights. Canelo wasn't good enough to win his. And that's the difference. It's not a matter of experience. Because every fighter that I mentioned, Canelo had more professional fights than those guys. And Canelo had already been a champion when he fought Floyd. He was a unified champion. Had already beat Shane Mosley. Had already beat Carlos Baldomir. Had already beat Kermit Cintron, who was a former champion. And he had just unified versus Austin Trout. So the fact of the matter is, Canelo at this point, or at that point when he fought Floyd, just was not good enough to beat that tier of fighter. Whereas these other guys, and Oscar included, was good enough to get by Pernell Whitaker. Good enough to stop Julio Chavez Sr. And neither one of those guys were 36 years old when he fought him. That's all I got to say on the subject. D-Lo 404 Boxing. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm out. Peace.